Okay, so welcome to another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we're taking a look at something you guys shared
Right.
from Sun Tzu's Art of War, Chapter 8,
Uh-huh.
called Variation in Tactics.
Yeah.
And we really wanted to spend some time with this because
It's a good one.
it's a good one.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that just really jumps out at you when you read it
Absolutely.
because it's so relevant
It is, yeah.
to like
everything.
not just warfare,
Everything. Yeah.
but like any kind of
Life in general.
strategy
Yeah.
and
people.
business,
Politics.
politics,
So,
you name it.
yeah, so like the basic mission is to sort of understand that like sticking to a rigid plan
Yes.
is going to get you in trouble.
It's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's all about adapting.
Yeah. If you think of it almost as like a rapid fire guide to like
Okay.
to why flexibility is the key
Okay.
to navigating complex situations.
Yep. And we see that through the lens of Sun Tzu in this chapter.
So Sun Tzu starts off
Yeah.
with this sort of image of the general receiving commands
Mm-hmm.
and like mobilizing the army
Right.
and concentrating forces.
Right.
And it almost seems like the point of no return, right?
Right.
But then he almost instantly flips that and says, well, the real skill is in knowing when to vary
Yeah.
those initial orders.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's so fascinating is like right out of the gate,
Yeah.
he emphasizes context. He
Yeah.
says, you know, you're in difficult terrain.
Right.
Don't get bogged down there.
Yeah.
Crossroads.
Okay.
You're going to need allies.
Right.
You know, think of it in any environment where your strengths become your weaknesses.
Okay.
Isolation is danger. You
Right.
know, his core message is really to constantly assess and adapt.
And then he kind of jumps into some of these like
She does.
specific tricky spots that you might find yourself in.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Like if you're cornered,
yeah, if you're cornered.
that's when you need stratagem.
Right.
You gotta think outside the box.
Yeah.
Make unexpected moves.
Yeah.
Clever maneuvers.
Right.
And he says that you should only resort to actually fighting when there's absolutely no other way.
Right.
So there's this hierarchy of responses
Yeah.
with fighting being the last resort.
Right. And that, I mean, that's something that just resonates in like so many areas of life.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like think before you act,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And this is where I think it gets really interesting for the listener.
Okay.
Sun Tzu explicitly says there are certain roads
Okay.
you should not take.
Okay.
Enemies you should not attack.
Uh-huh.
Cities you should not besiege.
Wow.
Ground you should not contest.
Okay.
And even commands from above that you should not obey.
Well, hold on. So
Yeah.
he's basically saying that
He's saying,
situational intelligence
Yes.
trumps
absolutely.
like the rigid orders.
Rigid directives, blind obedience. That's not what he's advocating for.
That's so powerful.
It is.
So it's like the wise leader, according to Sun Tzu, isn't just following a checklist.
Mhm. No,
Okay.
they're constantly weighing the advantages and disadvantages,
Right.
tempering expectations,
Yeah.
not assuming an easy win, but at the same time being ready to seize a moment
Yeah.
when it presents itself to sort of escape a bad situation.
And I love how he even goes on to talk about
He does.
how to handle your opponents.
Yeah.
You know, like how to inflict damage.
Yeah.
How to create distractions.
Keep them on their toes.
Keep them off balance.
Off balance, yeah. And even like using bait and allurements to sort of manipulate their actions.
Right. So it's like
Yeah.
you're influencing the other side.
You are.
You're not just like
It's not just about you.
doing your own thing.
Exactly. You
And-
got to think about
Yeah.
you got to think about what they're doing
Right.
and how you can influence that.
And then he talks about
Yes.
this idea of like internal readiness.
Yes.
This is so important.
It is fundamental.
Like your best defense isn't hoping that the enemy won't attack.
right.
It's about making your position like unassailable.
Unassailable.
And
Yeah.
not just like,
Not just physically,
Physically.
but like in terms of your capabilities,
Yeah.
your preparedness,
Yeah.
your state of mind.
so then we get this kind of sobering list
yeah.
of the 5 dangerous faults
Of a yes.
of general right.
Yeah. Recklessness.
Which leads to ruins, which leads to captivity,
temper.
which leaves you open to insults and provocations.
Right.
You're easily manipulated.
yeah. And then
A delicacy of honor,
yeah.
sensitivity to shame,
Right.
makes you too worried about what other people think,
Yeah.
and then over solicitude for your men,
Which can
which leads to worry and trouble.
cause more problems.
Ironically, yes.
Yeah. So these are
These are big
big and they
to think about.
go beyond. Think about how often these things derail even the best strategies.
Right.
Whether you're in business or politics or, personal life.
It's the impulsive decision.
Yes.
It's the
Driven by anger.
fear of failure.
Yeah.
It's that, like, reluctance to have those difficult conversations. And it's like he saw these
He did.
as the true Achilles heel of leadership.
Absolutely.
So it's so interesting.
It is.
So the core insight for you
Here.
is clear strategy is not a fixed blueprint.
No, it's not.
You need a plan,
Okay.
but it's that ability to deviate
Yes.
intelligently.
Based on changing circumstances.
And
That's what makes the difference.
or break success.
And being honest with yourself
Right.
about your weaknesses.
Yes.
That's key.
So this raises a final thought.
It does.
And you guys.
Yeah.
I want you to think about a time when you stuck to a plan rigidly
Okay.
and it didn't work out.
Okay.
Or a time when you were flexible and it led to a positive outcome.
Okay.
And then think about which of Sun Tzu's dangerous faults
Okay.
might be relevant to your own
Okay.
leadership or decision-making.
Okay.
That's what I want you to think about.
It's powerful stuff.
It is powerful.
Thanks for diving in with us, guys.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next time.
See you later.